Welcome truth seekers. Today on our channel, we are revealing the truth about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's over-the-top lifestyle. Shalom, Antiro, hello, everyone. Previously, the alarm bells were here to stay. What I have prepared for you today is a big talking point about the involvement of Princess and in the D-Day commemorations that took place in Normandy. But before we get to that royal topic at hand, can we talk about how Harry and Meghan were nowhere to be seen as important history was being celebrated grand style? That's a major way to say they're too busy for you. But before we break it down, do me a favor and subscribe and hit the bell notification if you haven't already. You will not believe the content that we have in store for you. These two liars perpetually wag their tongues about respect, service, and being honorable, but like any coward they run away when it's time to honor the fallen heroes who died for freedom and democracy. I guess sitting still with a veteran silently doesn't exactly spin the PR cycle for these media-hungry ready-for-primetime narcissists. Princess Anne stepped in as a reputable member of the royal family at the Normandy ceremonies instead. And as always she carried herself with grace, dignity and humble pride. They very different from Harry and Meghan, who are attention junkies and inherited this legacy and honored it by meeting the brave D-Day veterans, hearing their tales firsthand and sincerely showing appreciation for their sacrifices. Her more recent appearance at the D-Day commemorations reinforces the real meaning of duty and true service. She truly honored the veterans and their legacy by interacting with them in an honest and respectful manner. Harry and Meghan were somewhere else, pursuing their relentless self-interested, media pursuit of themselves instead of somber remembrance, same as it ever was. It is a poignant event, and it is disappointing that they're not there, given that their younger children present themselves as being in favor of particular things. The D-Day landings themselves are an iconic moment in World War II that just about everybody should celebrate and respect, and the royal family is no exception. It's actions like that of Princess and that show Harry and Meghan the types of duty and respect that veterans deserve. Her unyielding presence at the D-Day memorials exhibits her virtue and duty to remember, and it gives a salient lesson to us all in memory to honor the sacrifices of the fallen before us. So the next time we criticize Harry and Meghan, let us also recognize the quiet resolve and grace of Princess Anne, too. Despite shunning the public light, there is much to be learned from the behavior of her service. Are you able to imagine Harry or Meghan being humble and patient enough to bite their tongues and actually listen to those brave heroes share their chilling first-hand memories of Normandy? Highly unlikely. They would be too busy chomping at the bit to share further shallow, self-reflective rhetoric to notice that this moment even occurred. The image of Princess Anne gently consoling elderly veterans and attending the service is etched onto all of our hearts. The royal family member carefully performs the ceremony of representing the British nation with class, as appropriate to the great historical event. No grand display, no self-promotion, no self-indulgence, just a quiet, dignified, symbolic act of leadership by the eternal flame of memory. Every other Duke and Duchess of Montecchio was nowhere to be seen, presumably preoccupied with plotting their next attention-grabbing Netflix project or failing to land truth bombs that consistently paint them as the real heroes trying to live their best lives outside the castle walls. The timing of their 6-hour truth hostage video just days before the sacred D-Day memorial, when everyone in all the royal family gets to play at solemnity and respect every year, that shows a particular kind of tone-deaf arrogance and delusion. But expecting anything resembling introspection and self-respect beyond hero worship of Harry and Meghan seems a bridge too far. But you could not ask for a bigger contrast. One the other, we have an actually living up to what the British monarchy is supposed to be about, a lifetime of service and dedication. This is a reflection of organizational values, duty, respect, humility. Laurel knows history is heavy and the need to honor those who gave their lives so we can be free today. The veterans she met were treated with the respect and honor that we owe them, and sharing Anne's compassion for these men and women was a powerful way to demonstrate that their sacrifices will never be erased from history. Meanwhile we have Harry and Meghan, the mind boggles how alike and distant they are from those plebeian expectations for which Australia Day is an adoration. Their story generally recounts their injuries and claimed unfair treatment getting the genuine inconveniences off course. It seems that they prioritize publicity and their PR campaigns more than anything, before the actual service and proper treatment of others they are willing to give. This behavior is all the more jarring when measured against the quiet dignity of, for example, Princess Anne and a host of other members of the royal family, who go about their duties without courting news headlines. Also, it tells you a lot about the timing of their actions. It is disrespectful to release such a self-serving documentary if only for that fact, but to do so near an important historical date which commemorates D-Day, reveals a level of ignorance and thoughtlessness. Which means that their story is more than the national memory of a country, and more than the sacrifices of tens of thousands during one of the most important points in human history. It is a stark contrast which the British public, and indeed the entire world who used to look towards the royal family for inspiration and leadership, will probably find highly distressing. Harry and Meghan may not realize it yet, but their peaceful and simple lives amidst the sounds of Muir Woods and the fragrance of wildflowers are an inspiring, morally unimpeachable antidote to rootlessness and inconstancy, connection and rumor, and the severe and weathering abrasion of celebrity. Or, in the immortal words of Air Supply, ultimately, the mark of a leader is not the words spoken or the personal anecdotes shared, but the deeds done and the heritage to bequeath. Princess Anne on D-Day anniversary, a powerful lesson in quiet dignity, a real leader, and respecting greater generations of which we are. This is a lesson that Harry and Meghan would be wise to learn if they are going to be taken seriously as more than just the latest in a long line of celebs on the hunt for another column inch worth of attention. After all, those two are not service or about honoring history's heroes and fallen soldiers. They provide a never-ending smorgasbord of grudge-laden humble brags and totally fake victimhood that continues to sustain and enrich their insatiable egos and gatekeeping, royal-adjacent ultra-luxurious lifestyles. None of that swill is being spoon-fed to their cult of gullible followers by paying respects to the D-Day sacrifices. As Princess Anne strolled in silent reverence amid the perfectly tended rows of graves at Normandy's American cemetery, Meghan assuredly was screeching at some unfortunate assistant for placing her diamond-encrusted, Oprah handbag in a temperature-controlled chai latte. Prince Perfect Hair was right there, smiling and nodding deferentially yes as the Dragon Lady launched into yet another Bats-hit tirade about some invented slight or insult she fashioned into her latest narcissistic victimhood narrative. Twitter, can you think of a more outrageous, perfect negative image contrast? Princess Anne on the hallowed D-Day memorial grounds, thousands of human lives burned at the altar of freedom, while Meghan screamed about room temperature luxury issues? This is insane. This is batshit insane. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan were playing their avocado pranks and holing up in their bunker, and wittering on about how none of their really real, very cool reality show kitty props would want the family splintering charity killers back, while Princess Anne stood in vigil, quietly considering the young lives who would never do as she was doing right then, so the world could avoid the clearly uncool reality of constantly being at war with horrific invented races. It could not be more black and white. Princess Anne having respect ingrained in her very being, paying her tribute to those who died for our freedom. It was her solemn tribute, her silent acknowledgement that the price of liberty was great. In the New World, the royal rebels were spinning the end of victimhood yarn, nothing to do with true sacrifice ever, just to be clear. It all just seems like a weird dream seeing the contrast in that. This seriousness appears puny and small next to the often millenarian chastity and respect for history embodied by a princess who, for all her faults, has never let the side down when it came to putting her duty to the Queen before her own individual privilege, in sharp contrast to the self-entitled and solipsist Harry and Meghan. Their thirst for the limelight and tendency to turn ever minor inconvenience into an operatic crisis reveal a cavernous divide between these two spoiled brats and the actual rigors and sacrifices of the human condition. Anne's visit to Normandy was a somewhat more reverent occasion, commemorating the bravery and selflessness of soldiers who fought and died to protect the freedoms that couples like Harry and Meghan think they can exploit to their own advantage. Their preoccupation with personal grudges and indulgent gripes seems churlish in light of the reverence and humility observed by anyone who actually comprehends the gravity of history and what real freedom costs. Princess Anne walking in among the graves of the D-Day fallen is a strong image of a woman meant to serve in his capacity as a royal and does so quite dutifully, whatever one's innate views on this extension of the British state, and the sovereignty of the British people. Lord Porritt will further explain in the next post how Princess Anne serves this wheresoever and whenever called to do so. By comparison, the mental image of Meghan bullying an assistant over a chai latte feels performative, and a parody of privilege and excuse. In an age when the word service can be diluted between influence culture and personal branding, and when the value of sacrifice can become a gray area, Princess Anne provides us with a valuable lesson in honor and respect. Her actions say much and they reveal how different she is from the more flashy crowd in the House of Windsor. And, as we think back to D-Day and the ongoing need to remember and honor the fallen, it has never been more important to live by the values of humility, respect, and real service. In a world that can be recalcitrant and rough, Princess Anne serves as an excellent model of these virtues. That is a never-ending slap in the face to the misery and horror those soldiers went through, and witnessed. I mean, I am not one of those flag-waving, jingoistic types by any means, but fuck me, looking at the actual patriotic British royals performing somber duties to their country at such a historically hallowed place whilst those two LA-based opportunists continued pursuing lucre and limelight absolutely makes me fume. For the love of Pete, show some respect for a change. Look, I get it, working as an actress who bloviates about her own racial ambiguity while ad-libbing her way through what is written for her and who angers a son-in-law of the monarchy is hard, but you had a full 24 hours to convert your thoughts on sacrifice into action and you blew it. Freedoms that enable you to so fervently pursue clout and code brew. Would that be too much to ask for? Apparently so. Harry and Meghan, meanwhile, will be busy bowing their heads alongside the royal family and the British public, provided they still have a shred of perspective and decency between them, for the heroes of the World War II. Prostrating before the god of self and fervently chanting the mantra of perpetual uplift. There is no other way to describe this, but a national shame. Their obvious reverence, particularly of Princess Anne, when they visit the sacred places of D-Day, reminds us of what is due to one who fought and died. With Princess Anne quietly taking things in stride and representing the royals honorably, humbly, and with a touch of reverence, makes the bratty self-serving behavior of Harry and Meghan look all the more ridiculous. Harry and Meghan seem incapable of grasping the significance of certain behaviors, given their sheltered existence in the celebrity world of La La Land. The stark contrast between the royal family's dedication and the self-serving nature of these former royals underscores a deep disconnect. Princess Anne deserves praise and respect for honoring the royals with dignity, modesty, and silent reverence at the sacred D-Day sites. Her actions embody the true spirit of remembrance and respect that should be displayed not only on significant anniversaries but every day. It's unfortunate that Harry and Meghan seem to lack this sense of duty and respect. Their pursuit of personal gain and celebrity status overshadows any connection to their heritage and the sacrifices that have granted them their privileged lives. Perhaps one day they will realize that genuine honor and respect come from acts of humility and remembrance, not from seeking media attention or fame. Someone had to counterbalance the negative image created by the absence of the two ex-royals in commemorating true service and sacrifice. It's disheartening to see such blatant disregard during a time meant to honor those who have made great sacrifices, especially from individuals who hold titles and positions that should inherently understand the gravity of such events. The Duke and Duchess of Montecito persist in disrespecting crucial occasions through their history of disdainful behavior and indifference towards those enduring hardships. Their consistent failure to recognize the significance of events reveals a profound disconnect from the expectations and obligations associated with their privileged positions. Rather than exhibiting respect and support for individuals who have made significant sacrifices, they choose to prioritize their self-centered interests. Their performative acts of demonstrating compassion for the cameras only highlight their innate talent for insincere gestures. Despite their skill in crafting an image of empathy and understanding through articulate speeches, their absence from meaningful events speaks volumes about their actual priorities. It is evident that they lack the willingness to show genuine solidarity with those who have made sacrifices, displaying a clear focus on their self-absorbed attitudes rather than meaningful engagement as members of the royal family. In reality, actions speak louder than words. While the Duke and Duchess may perceive their carefully maintained public persona and social media presence as sufficient, their lack of genuine compassion and respect for service and sacrifice becomes glaringly evident. Their failure to participate in significant events stands as a stark reminder of their true motivations and where their loyalties truly lie. Reflecting on their continuous disregard for important occasions, it prompts consideration of whether they should be held accountable for their neglectful actions or lack thereof. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section and provide your perspective on this matter. Stay tuned for upcoming shocking stories and scandalous exposes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay informed about the latest news from the world of the royal family. Your interaction supports us in providing detailed analyses and perspectives on the lives of individuals with significant titles. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon with more captivating news about the royal family. Goodbye for now.